take us back to before you joined Standout Job Search, before we met. Where were you at in your career? Tell us a bit about what you were up to and what you were looking for, and maybe some of the barriers you hit.
So I was working in an industry that was a very large industry, retail specifically, and I had made the conscious decision that I was going to start looking for a job. And I had a couple things that I really wanted to focus in on. I wanted to stick with HR. I wanted to make sure that I was able to get more compensation for the work I was doing. And I wanted a better work-life balance because in my past company, it just didn't feel like it existed.
What was your experience when kind of just your initial job searching efforts?
In human resources, I felt like it would be very easy. I felt like I've interviewed people. I've been on both sides of, the interview process. And I realized that I wasn't as qualified, or I didn't feel as qualified as I thought I was. There was a moment of reflection where not only did I feel really deflated in it, but I also felt like I needed to make a change.
It's interesting when you said you felt like you weren't qualified. Can you dive into a little bit about what you mean by that?
I thought I was putting like all of my skills and, experience on my resume. But what I found is that all of that was great. I couldn't find out the way to essentially explain it, number one, in an interview setting or on a resume that was appealing and enticing to said company that I was applying to, specifically because I was using the exact same verbiage as my past company. I didn't cater my resume to the specific job posting.
How did the way you talk about yourself change?
Well, I definitely felt more confident. I also think that there was ways that I just didn't even think about the process of applying. Like, as Madeline has been on the opposite side of the fence here and she's been in recruiting, she knew so many like backdoor hacks to help get your name in or help to get you referred. And so there was so many things that I felt like I was finally realizing about the process in just applying to a bunch of different places that is completely broken. And this was a way for me to totally understand, it wasn't me necessarily, it was more the system that if you can find the right ways to go about it, you unlock tons of different opportunities and options.
What was really cool is you really zeroed in on one opportunity. I remember when you got rejected from that role, and it was really tough because it was like, Brittany, you're doing everything right. You're really rocking this. And I'm so sorry to hear that you didn't land this. Your next steps were really to pursue that company further. And kind of what was that mindset shift that happened through that interview process? If you can kind of like walk us through that experience.
I found an incredible job on LinkedIn. My thought was, I want to pursue this and I want to pursue it feet first, jump all in. I wound up getting some interviews and things were going really great. I loved the hiring manager. I thought like we jived so well. And so I got pushed along to the following interview steps. And unfortunately, right before those interviews, really, I got an email from the recruiter who said, I'm so sorry, but someone was further along in this process than you. So they have accepted the offer. And so the position is no longer available. I was crushed. Madeline had shared, a couple ways to keep yourself engaged with that job or that hiring manager. And about a month later, I got an email from the hiring manager who was asking if I had found my next opportunity yet, and if I was, still interested. I was ecstatic, really, really ecstatic. And so I immediately responded. Her response was, great, we'd love to, pick up the interview process when the role is ready. I talked to Madeline again, and she kind of helped me with some email verbiage to essentially expedite the process or try to get the company to expedite the process. And with that, I wound up jumping right back into the interviews, like steps ahead of where I had, or basically where I had left off, not having to go all the way back to square one, and received the offer. They'd offered me better than my expectations, which was great. And then on top of that, I learned how to negotiate. I wound up getting a spot bonus. I wound up getting an increase in base salary. This offer was 45% above what I was making at the current time. So it was amazing.
What would you say to people who were on the fence about joining Standout Job Search?
This is definitely an investment up front. It's a small investment in the fact that this is going to be maybe a short-term tiny pain for a very long-term gain. And I have learned so much just from the course that I took that I'll be able to take on with me, like Madeline said, for maybe a promotion negotiation or in my next career seeking adventure. There's really just so much that you can learn from this program. And I would recommend investing in yourself. You will be happier if you find a job that really like checks all of your boxes. And it's not going to happen maybe overnight, but it is something that will be wonderful once it does happen. And you'll be really happy with the result in this program. I have no doubt in that.